You're doing a great job. I'm looking for an assistant. Do you need an extra, like some extra hours?
Yeah, let's just add that on to my schedule.
We'll chat. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, you're gonna see an interview / bake session that I did with my friend Brittany. So Brittany is a realtor here in St. Pete, and she has a podcast and a YouTube channel where she talks to different business owners. She highlights a bunch of really amazing local businesses, and it was such a pleasure to talk to her and bake brownies with her. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you guys here next week.
Hi everybody, I'm super excited today because we're going to be doing one of my favorite things, baking. I'm Brittany Ranew, a local real estate advisor and the host of the St. Pete Sold podcast. And today I am with the fabulous Natalia Lima. Hi.
Hi, thanks for having me.
She is an awesome vegan baker with the Curious Cat Bakery here in St. Pete. And today we're in her kitchen and she's going to show us how to make vegan and gluten-free brownies. So let's get started.
All right, so we have the gluten-free stuff because I know you're gluten-free.
I'm very excited about that.
We needed to be able to taste it at the end. So now you're going to be able to, because you've tried them at Book and Bottle before. So today we're making it together. So I'm putting it to work. I hope that's okay.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. All right, so first, the whole thing about vegan baking is that you have to mix your dry ingredients separately from your wet ingredients.
Okay.
So let's start with the dry ingredients. If we get this bowl over here. We're gonna mix the almond flour, just dump it in there, and I have everything pre-measured. Just a little pro tip for you. Always have your ingredients pre-measured because there's nothing worse than starting to bake and you're like, shoot, I don't have baking powder. I need to stop everything and go to the store.
Yeah.
So always have everything pre-measured. Cool. You got the sugar.
Go ahead and dump it.
Just dump it all. Just put it in there. No technique required.
A little technique for dumping, that's good.
Exactly. Foolproof. A little bit of salt. You always want a little bit of salt in desserts because it balances things out. People are a little scared and they're like, why am I including salt?
Yeah.
But it balances things out. If you don't include it, then it's kind of like just flat and overly sweet.
Okay.
So then we have cornstarch. You might need the spatula over there to get it off the bowl.
So why do you use almond flour and cornstarch for your bases?
Okay, so I went vegan 11 years ago, and brownies have about 6 eggs in the actual recipe, like a regular brownie.
That's a lot.
It's very egg heavy. So I ate a lot of really bad brownies over 10 years until I found this one recipe, and it just happened to have almond flour, and I was like, this is great. It's also gluten-free. So it was just a happy accident. Yeah, and then the cornstarch is there to act as an egg replacer. So it will just kind of thicken things up and act as a binder. Now that we have that, let's get this other bowl in here and we're gonna put the wet ingredients. So we have the almond milk.
And so why almond milk instead of, there's so many like dairy-free milks nowadays.
I know, there's a lot of options, and it comes down to each one of them is different, and it's going to have a different content in protein and fat, which is very nerdy stuff that people don't want to hear, but it really makes a difference. So almond milk is going to be the closest thing to regular milk in terms of having a neutral flavor and having that same protein level and fat level, so that it's a 1-for-1 replacement.
Okay.
But when I'm doing cakes, for example, sometimes I use coconut milk because that's fattier. Like you can tell when you pour coconut milk that's just like kind of thicker and you know all the deliciousness. Same thing with oat milk, but that's gonna add more fat and we don't want that in a brownie because it will make things go all out of whack.
Okay.
So, and then we have vegan butter.
Okay, so how many tries did it take you to find the right vegan butter?
A very, very long time. I don't even know. I should have kept a tally. It was just a long time. And that's what I tell people when they're first starting to go vegan, just in general, but also with baking. It's like, don't be afraid to mess up. Like, you are going to have some really terrible brownies, and you are going to have some really awful recipes that didn't work out, but now you know what you don't do, you know? So you can't be afraid to mess up. And then these are vegan chocolate chips. I use Enjoy Life as the
Yep.
brand. Have you tried them?
I have. I use those too.
Yeah, because they're allergy free, so they don't have any gluten. They don't have any of the nuts or anything like that. Like, they're really great, and they taste just like the real deal. So
That's what we want.
exactly. So I'm gonna put this in the microwave for a couple of minutes.
Okay.
And then while that does its thing, why don't you go ahead and mix these ingredients
With this or the?
doesn't matter, whatever
Okay.
you prefer.
Okay.
But just make sure they're incorporated. You're doing a great job. I'm looking for an assistant. Do you
Oh.
need some extra
Yeah.
hours?
Let's just add that on
yeah.
to my schedule.
We'll chat. We'll chat.
So I gotta ask, like, what's your favorite recipe that you make?
So I got to thinking about this recently, and I think my butter pecan cookies are probably my favorite recipe because they were the first thing that I made that people who weren't vegan were like, what is this?
Yeah.
This tastes amazing. So, and I think they are like just universally liked. Everyone likes them. You don't have to love chocolate or love vanilla. You know, like some flavors are divisive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think the butter pecan are kind of universally loved. So I really like those.
How many products do you sell?
Right now, when I first started the bakery, the menu was very extensive. I made everything from vegan macarons to cakes, pies, breads, like everything. And then I, over the years, narrowed it down because I found that there are certain items that people prefer. So right now, the vegan croissants are the top seller. It's what everyone's obsessed with. So I kind of honed in on that, and then I have the vegan brownies. So that's what we're making right now.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
I wish I could try your croissants because
I know.
I've heard such good things
I
about them.
know. Oh, I know. When people ask me, they're like, "Are they gluten free as well?" I'm like, "Well, I'm not a magician." That's really tough.
It would be a challenge.
It's a whole other thing, and people usually like to group gluten free and vegan into the same category. I'm sure you go to restaurants and you ask if there's something gluten free, and they're like, "There's this vegetarian option."
Yeah.
You're like, "Totally different thing."
Yeah. Yes.
So then, but it's a completely different thing because when you're baking vegan, you're pretty much just changing the chemistry of what you're making. You need to replicate the chemistry that happened with a regular bake.
Baking's like a science. I think people kind of forget that.
Exactly.
That's why you have to be so exact with all the ingredients.
Exactly. It is a science. And so, but with gluten-free, it's the same thing, but it's a whole other set of challenges that you have that you need to be fixing. So, different areas of expertise.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're just gonna mix. Now everything is melted, and now we're just gonna whisk it together.
Yeah, incorporate all the chocolate into the
Yeah.
liquids.
Ooh,
Yeah, that smells good already.
no, you can't smell it, but it smells amazing.
Yes. We need to like invent smell-o-vision so you can smell all this.
Really useful. My channel would take off.
Oh,
let me tell you.
Yeah, so you have like an awesome YouTube channel, your Instagram. I love like all your videos.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started out because when I started baking vegan, I was struggling because I was just Googling recipes, and then what I found later was that a lot of the recipes you find online are not by vegan bakers, so they are just Googling it themselves and going, egg replacer for a cake. And if you do that, don't do that. The first thing that shows up is a banana, avocado, applesauce, and then people are surprised when they don't get a fluffy cake. Well, you're never gonna get a fluffy cake with those replacers. So, and I was just like new to vegan baking and just baking in general, and I was getting really frustrated that there was nobody out there explaining why. Like, why am I putting a banana in here? Like, what is it doing? And what do I need to do so it becomes like a tall cake? And I couldn't find that, so I had to teach it all myself, figure it out all on my own. And then once I did, I was like, there's gotta be some other person out there that's struggling with this.
Yeah.
So that's why I started the YouTube channel, because I just wanted other people to, understand. And I get comments all the time. They're like, this is the first time I'm actually hearing somebody explain to me why my recipe wasn't coming out.
Yeah.
So it's kind of on the nerdy side on that end of things, but I feel like it's so helpful.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
All
right, so now that this is mixed, we're gonna pour it in. We're gonna do this. Do you want to do the honors?
Oh, okay.
Just pour it all in.
All right.
Yep.
That looks amazing.
I know. I mean, it doesn't have any raw eggs in it and everything, so you could potentially just eat this with a spoon, you know.
Okay.
Not saying that I do that ever. That would just be so wrong.
All right.
And then we're gonna fold it in.
Just fold it in.
Just fold it in. Do you watch Schitt's Creek?
Yes.
Every time now somebody says to fold it in, just fold it in,
100%.
David.
Just fold it in.
Fold
Just
it
fold
in.
it in.
And then if you wanted to add nuts, you could at this stage. You would just add it, but we're just gonna keep it plain and fudgy.
Yes, all the chocolate.
Exactly. Are you a chocolate person or more of like a citrus flavors?
That's a tough question. I kind of like both.
Yeah,
So-
I don't discriminate.
Like I love tarts and like fruit tarts and that kind of thing. I love lemon, anything lemon.
I know.
But
It's
yeah, it's hard
delicious.
to like chocolate's just it's special.
I know. Whenever people are like, I don't like chocolate, I'm like, I don't trust you. Like, excuse me?
Like people who don't like animals, like dogs and cats,
Exactly.
or chocolate.
Yeah, red
Don't trust
flag.
those
Yeah.
people.
He's a 10, but he doesn't like animals. He's a 10, but he doesn't like chocolate. Excuse me? All right, so now that this is fully incorporated, we're just gonna put it in this lined baking pan.
Okay, so why is it lined and not just like sprayed?
It just works better with brownies. There's some things that we just don't question the rules.
Yeah.
because
do it.
because it's the way it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so always line your pans. It just works better. With cakes, you would spray the pan. But with brownies, always line it with parchment paper. And then we're just gonna pour it in.
Ooey gooey goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And so what does it bake at? How long does it take?
So this is gonna go in the oven at 350 for 25 minutes.
Okay, well that's not too long.
It's not. Brownies are really like a super easy beginner recipe, but you have to have the right recipe. That's the thing when it comes to vegan brownies. But the actual making of it is pretty easy and not, super time consuming or anything. I do have this recipe in my ebook. It's called Vegan Baking 101. And it has 14 recipes for beginner bakers. Because I started to see a pattern with my YouTube, but people would ask, like, do you have a banana bread recipe? It's always the same thing when people are getting started. It's banana bread, brownies, cupcakes, which is great. They're great beginner recipes.
They're trying to like replace their favorites from
Exactly.
childhood.
Yeah. And everybody loves those, but you need to get started with the right recipe, because then if you make it wrong, then you're going to get discouraged and all of that. So that's why I have that ebook, and this recipe is in that ebook.
Yes. Is your ebook on your website?
It's on the website.
Okay.
And I'll give you the link so you can put it in the description.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So then this is going to go in the oven.
Okay.
Ready?
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay, guys, we just got these out of the oven, and now we get to taste them.
That's the best part. It's
Yes,
the best part.
the best part. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay. It's super chocolatey.
That's
Like
how
fudgy.
brownies should be. It's like fudgy. Like if it has a rising agent, then it's a cake. Nothing wrong with a cake. But a brownie should be like fudgy.
Yeah, it's definitely like I think about just a piece of fudge that you would eat. Like that's what it tastes like.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to upgrade this, then vegan ice cream, chocolate ganache. Nothing wrong with more chocolate on top of this.
Mm-hmm. That sounds wonderful. Or like, do you ever do like fruit, like raspberries or anything like that?
Yeah, do that. I mean, really anything you put on top of brownie. Really hard to mess it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was thinking it's been like a year since you were on my podcast. Can you believe
Crazy.
that?
No, that was like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So much has happened. I was thinking about it. Like, did we meet like in the middle of the pandemic?
Yeah, it was still going on.
Right.
yeah.
Like, I remember we had to meet outside.
Yes, yep.
Because it was still like in
Yeah.
the throes of it.
Yep.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. So like how has everything grown for you since then?
Oh my goodness, so much has changed. I definitely shifted my business more to working with other local businesses. I think when we talked, I was just getting started with some wholesale, but most of my business was direct to consumers, so people would
Okay.
order on the website. And then I found that I really enjoy working with other businesses, especially other women-owned businesses.
Yeah.
And that way, you know, people have more of an option of getting my stuff by going to their regular coffee shop. It also, the whole mission of the bakery has always been to make delicious vegan goods available to as many people as possible, because I have been victimized by going to coffee shops and not having one item on the menu that I could have, you know, and I don't want anyone to go through that. So working with other businesses is just this great opportunity to not only make it available to more people, but also, you know, my followers will go to that coffee shop and try a new place. Their people will, you know, meet my stuff. So it's overall beneficial. And then out of that kind of grew a demand for the vegan croissants, which are now what I'm known for. And then that grew so much that the next step was getting them into supermarket shelves.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And I have seen that at Rollin' Oats recently, and I just got like super excited.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
that moment was definitely one for the awesome jar. Like that was really cool to see it at Rollin' Oats and at Black Radish St. Pete, and then starting next week, we're going to be at Nature's Food Patch as well in Clearwater.
Cool. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
so it's really cool.
So you're growing, you're expanding.
Yes, it's very exciting, and you know, whenever I, you know, see people, they tag me and they're like, you know, having this amazing vegan brunch, and I'm like, yes, that's what it was all about.
Yeah.
You know, that's the moment. I think as bakers, we don't just bake for ourselves. That's always a benefit to know how to make a brownie for yourself, but to see other people enjoy it is always wonderful. And I feel like whenever people buy a package of the frozen croissants, or they tag me in a recipe that I taught them how to make, and they're enjoying that in their moment, like that just makes my heart grow.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So, like, do you have any other plans to try to get some other products into grocery stores or anything like that?
I have been getting requests for the everything croissant. So
Okay.
right now, the ones that are available in store are the plain and the chocolate, and they come in a package. But the everything croissant has vegan cream cheese and everything bagel seasoning in it. And I feel like I'm just torturing you because you don't get to eat any of this. It's horrible.
I know.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And then, so I've been getting, that's been a bestseller since day one. Black Crow Coffee started selling them, and then I started selling them everywhere else because they were just so popular.
Mm-hmm.
So people have been asking for that, so maybe.
Yeah, so today we're in your amazing kitchen,
Yes.
but you bake all of your products out of a commercial kitchen, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So to have a food permit and to be able to sell at different coffee shops and other places, you need to have a commercial kitchen that you work out of, whether that's your own, like if I had a storefront bakery, it would be that, but it needs to go through an inspection and all of that, which makes total sense. But filming there is not great because you have other people. It's like a co-working space, but you know, it's a kitchen, so you have other people, and then you have all the noise from different machines. Like you might be making something and somebody's using the blender, and it's a logistical nightmare to shoot there. So that's why I make all my content here in the kitchen. It's just quieter. It's much simpler to work than out of the commercial, but every time that I'm there, I look a lot less glamorous than this. And it's, you know, it's just a practical space.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is absolutely delicious.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate you taking the time to show everybody a little bit behind the scenes on how you make your amazing treats.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Yeah, and everybody, please, if you haven't had her products out, so what different local shops can people find your products at?
There's a number of different places that you can find it. Black Crow Coffee, Book and Bottle are just a couple. You have actually a full list at CuriousCatBakery.com or on my Instagram at CuriousCatBakery.